Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I will be providing my book review of the book The Summons by John Grisham. I have so far read 4 John Grisham books now, 3 from the past, and then this is my 4th. I've read his Jake Brigance, or Jake Brigance, as it's sometimes called, series. I read A Time to Kill, masterpiece. I read Sycamore Row, masterpiece. And A Time for Mercy, just shy of being a masterpiece. All 3 of these books were wonderful. All 3 of these books had deep, rich stories that kept me engaged from first page to last page, that just told stories I could not put down. And The Summons is a very different type of book. The first difference you'll notice is it is significantly shorter. It is about half the length of these other books. And so I read it much faster. I read this in 2 days. The other difference between this and those books is that this book does not deal with quite the heavy issues, the really important, societal issues that these books. A Time to Kill has to deal with questions about punishment and questions about racism. And Sycamore Row deals with racism and also deals with how people view the dead and how people view those who inherit money from the dead. And then A Time for Mercy has to do with the justice system and punishment and also juvenile punishment. So all of these books have deep themes that really anchor them. The Summons doesn't. The basic premise of this book is Judge Atlee, who you meet in the other books, is dying. And he calls his oldest son, Ray Atlee, home to come to his bedside and talk with him about his estate. Unfortunately, right when Ray Atlee arrives, the judge dies. And the judge leaves behind, what he can, what he has, but there's this mysterious amount of money that he leaves behind. And Ray has to decide what to do with the money. And the questions around this book are, where did the money come from? Why did the judge not include the money on his will? What is Ray going to do about the money now that he has it in his possession? And fourth, who else knows and is trying to attack Ray? And so there are certainly exciting moments in the book. There are certainly some interesting questions raised about inheritance and things like that. But the inheritance questions raised in The Summons are not better than the questions raised in Sycamore Row. Sycamore Row deals with this exact issue much better. All of the legalese is handled better in the other books that I've read. And the action in this book is fine, and it's fast-paced. It is a fast-paced book. I read it quickly, partially because it's so short, but also because it is a fast-paced book. And the mystery is what drives it. These other books, you wanted to know what would happen to our main characters, but from the get-go, you basically knew what had happened, and you're just learning what the results are going to be. This is a actual mystery. It's like a who left behind the money? Why? Where did it come from? How? And who's attacking them for it? This is a true mystery type book. And as a result, Grisham's just not as strong in the mystery genre as he is in his legal thrillers. If he had turned this into a legal thriller and made it about the courtroom battles, I think it might have been a much more interesting book. Another thing that this book suffers from is the cast is not quite as dynamic and focused. You had Jake Brigance is a very specific type of personality, and Harry Rex Voner is a very outlandish, roguish personality, and other characters, throughout the books that I've read have these specific personalities that make them leap off the page. Ray Atlee, while being a lawyer, is actually quite bland. He's actually quite everymanish. And I think that Grisham did this, which is what a lot of authors do, that try to make him bland so that the audience can imagine themselves in his shoes. And I understand that decision, and sometimes it works really well for some authors, and then for other authors, it just doesn't work well at all. Here, I don't think it particularly works well because we've seen the questions of inheritance in his other books, so the audience already places themselves in his shoes. So it's a very complex discussion that happens in this book, but not complex enough, I think. And I was just disappointed by the ending, which I actually was disappointed by the endings of these two books, but because the themes were so good and other parts of the books were so satisfying and the characters were so good, I was willing to overlook the disappointments in this satisfying ending. And what I think makes his ending unsatisfying, particularly this one, is that he wants his books to be realistic. He wants his books to read as if they could actually happen. So he tries to make, A Time to Kill is a very unrealistic ending because of the legal stuff that happens in it. But the endings for these two are very realistic, and it's very tempered compared to what it could be. And The Summons is also a very realistic, tempered ending, and it's more sad and somber than it needs to be. He could have made this a very happy, yeah, awesome ending. And instead, because the ending wasn't good and because the overall execution wasn't perfect, I just don't feel this book in the same way that I was feeling Grisham's other books. And that makes me sad. Now, I'm still a huge Grisham fan. I still think he is an amazing author. He's written, again, some of my favorite novels this year. I just think that this was a significant step down for him. I'd give this like a 7 out of 10. Like this is significantly lower than these, which were like 10 out of 10 or 9.9 out of 10. Like these were solid, near perfect novels. And so it's sad to see a misstep. But this is still better than a lot of the books that I read this year. So it's still an entertaining book. If you're a legal thriller fan, I still think it's worth the effort. Or if you're just a John Grisham fan, John Grisham fans will want it for the completion aspect. But I still think it's entertaining. I just feel like Grisham could do better because he has done better. So those are my thoughts and opinions on the book The Summons. If you've read this book, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And if you're interested in reading more Grisham books, let me know. If you have other Grisham books that you love, I have some other books. I have The Pelican Brief and The Litigators and The Runaway Jury and Ford County on my shelves, so I intend to get to all those eventually. But let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.